What's up, everyone? It's Nick, and for the first time ever, I'm going to cover the NFL on YouTube. In past videos, I've covered the NBA and MLB, but this time, it's my NFL YouTube debut. So please remember to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. If you enjoy my content, it's the best way to show your support. Now let's cue the intro. So before we begin, I'm just going to let you know now that I'm not covering all 32 teams in this video, because just covering the teams I'm going to cover in this video alone, that already took a lot of planning for me to do. So I'll just cover certain teams, and in the future, I'll cover other teams. And hey, please get down in the comment section and rep your team. And eventually I will cover whoever you root for that I'm not covering in this video. But I'm going to start with my team, the New York Giants. So my team finally won a game against another lowly team. I mean, yay, but it's not like I'm going to go celebrating like crazy because my team just accomplished a bare minimum of not going 0-16. That's kind of like celebrating scoring higher on an IQ test than Waldo Geraldo Faldo from Family Matters. It's not that impressive. Or it's like being proud that your country, wherever it is handling coronavirus better than America. Again, not something to be very proud of, right? It's the bare minimum. But for the tank for Trevor Lawrence, guys, hey, I understand because Trevor Lawrence is a phenomenal talent. I'm not super high on Daniel Jones myself. I hear you guys. However, I don't want a losing culture. I know it's a different sport. I'll just talk briefly about this because it's about football, not basketball. But the Miami Heat didn't tank to get where they are now. Even after they lost their star power, they kept their culture, and they made it to the NBA Finals this year. Even though they lost, I mean, they were supposed to lose anyways. They have a bright future ahead of them, but that's not for this video because this is about football. But the point still stands. You don't want a losing culture. I kind of know what it's like being a Jets fan now from what the Giants have been like these last 3 years, because it's been pretty rock bottom. And honestly, I'm tired of it. Dave Gettleman needs to go. He's overstayed his welcome. They got to get a new GM now. And also, thanks a lot for trading Odell. Thanks a lot. And right now, the Giants don't have a legit number one receiver. So that's not something that I'm going to fault Daniel Jones for. They have guys that struggle to get open, guys that struggle to catch the ball, and Saquon Barkley tore his ACL. So it's not entirely Daniel Jones' fault. And the offensive line, I don't want to say that it's great because it's definitely not. It's far from great. However, Daniel Jones does tend to make them look worse than they really are by holding on to the ball too long, and he does still make some really boneheaded plays. Brett Coleman made a video on this before the season started, and said he's kind of like Jameis Winston, but I'd say Jameis Winston without that rocket arm. And now that touchdown pass to Darius Slayton against Washington, that was nice. I'll give him that. And the fake handoff for the big run that Daniel Jones had, also nice. But also that interception in the end zone. How many more of those? Seriously. But then Kyle Allen on his fumble, I don't know if he was trying to toss that to a guy that wasn't even there, but if that's what he did, it was like Daniel Jones made one really boneheaded play. But then Kyle Allen's like, don't worry, I got you. And cost Washington the game. Next game against the Eagles, because the Eagles aren't doing so well either. In fact, our division is a laughing stock. I actually think the Giants have a chance, but I'm not going to bet on it because, honestly, why would I bet on such a bad team? You know what, though? The defense is actually not that bad if you look at them statistically. It's just their offense is absolutely horrific. So anyways, now that I got that out of the way, I'm going to talk about the Dallas Cowboys, who I obviously hate. And as much as I want to celebrate the fact that they're doing terrible right now, I think I'd make a fool out of myself if I did, because my team also sucks. And in fact, my Giants are doing even worse. The Cowboys are 2-4, the Giants are 1-5. So it's really nothing that either of us can celebrate. But speaking of the Cowboys, I didn't think Mike McCarthy would be a good hire right from the get-go. I always thought that he was blessed to have Hall of Fame quarterbacks in Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers to have the success that he did in Green Bay. And right now, that last game the Cowboys had against the Cardinals, Andy Dalton threw the ball 54 times. Why have Andy Dalton throw the ball that much when you have Ezekiel Elliott? I mean, for me, go ahead, keep doing it because I don't like this team anyways, but just being logical. Come on. And for the fans that are demanding Zeke to get traded at or benched because he fumbled the ball twice, which led to the Cardinals scoring, you guys are stupid. Ezekiel Elliott is a generational talent. No, you're not going to bench him, and you're definitely not going to trade him or cut him. It's just that Mike McCarthy over relies on the pass. Dak Prescott, who was, by the way, having a record-breaking season until his injury, and even though I'm a Giants fan, I do wish him a speedy recovery. Those kinds of injuries are not something I wish on anybody. But just when you have Ezekiel Elliott, use him and not Andy Dalton. I hope that Mike McCarthy's not watching this, though. He probably won't, but just saying. Oh, and also about their defense, though, because it's their defense that is really, really bad. Like, even when Dak Prescott was having a record-breaking season, their defense couldn't be any worse. Now, talent-wise, the defense is actually not that bad. With guys like Jalen Smith, Leighton Vander Esch, and DeMarcus Lawrence, they really should be a whole lot better defensively than they actually are. The problem is all with the schemes. Mike Nolan is a terrible defensive coordinator. I don't know why they hired him in the first place. Oh, actually, I do know why, because of the connection he has with Mike McCarthy. They never should have fired Chris Richard in the first place. In week 6 against the Cardinals, Kyler Murray completed just 9 of 24 passes, and still the Cardinals dropped 38 points on the Cowboys because their defense is that bad. That's embarrassing. Like, you could start every game with a huge lead with the Cowboys. So yeah, if you had the Bill Belichick and Tom Brady Patriots offense on the Cowboys with a defense this horrific, you're still gonna have a losing season because their defense is that bad. This team, they've just been known to waste talent for like 25 years. I don't even remember the last time the Cowboys actually had a bad team on paper, to be honest. But they're just that dysfunctional of an organization. They were once one of the most storied franchises in the NFL. Well, I guess they still are with 5 Super Bowls, but ever since their last one, they've become super dysfunctional. Now there is a rumor going around that the Jets might trade Sam Darnold to the Cowboys, and I'm a USC fan, so as a USC fan, please don't do it. I do not want to see Darnold put on the Cowboys uniform. That's just gonna make me puke. Anyways, I'm gonna transition to the Jets now, and I actually don't hate the Jets. I'm just not a fan of them, but I am a fan of Darnold because, like I said, I'm a USC fan, and unfortunately, the guy's just seeing ghosts out there right now, and Adam Gase is a terrible coach. It's this with USC quarterbacks and Jets quarterbacks. It's like a curse. But Adam Gase, I don't know how this guy still has a job at this point. I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets still think that he is the man for the job because they're just that incompetent, to be honest. And how he just gave away Jamal Adams, and when Le'Veon Bell was cut, and by the way, the system was bad. It wasn't Le'Veon that was a problem for the Jets. We saw what he can do in Pittsburgh, and the Jets just misused him. And they also just threw away Robbie Anderson, who's currently 2nd in receiving yards. But now as a Giants fan, yeah, we pretty much have to live the same life now, right? Alright, now I'll actually talk about a team that's actually doing well. I got 3 bad teams. One I love, one I hate, one that I'm kind of about. So I have to talk about the defending champions, right? So Patrick Mahomes, he's still a beast. 15 touchdowns, only 1 interception. The only real weakness for the Chiefs right now is their run defense. But against the Bills, their run defense was actually just fine because the Bills don't have a strong running game either. And Josh Allen, in the first 4 games, he looked very improved because he's looked a lot more composed. But their last 2 games, he wasn't really all that. The defense for the Bills, though, is bad. That could be their demise. The lowly New York Jets are the only team to not score more than 20 points on them, and they did also give up 42 points to the Tennessee Titans, and I will talk about the Tennessee Titans later on. Moving on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, Tom Brady's career looked like it was going downhill, and he looked like he was reaching the end last year, but statistically, it looks like he's resurging. He's only 11th in passing yards, but 4th in touchdown passes. The Bucs defense, though, their defense is among the best in the league for sure. And I still got love for my man Jason Pierre-Paul. You down with JPP? Yeah, you know me. 5.5 sacks in 6 games this season. The fact that he's still playing after he blew up his hand 5 years ago, I mean, sure, because he is a DN, because if he wasn't a lineman, his career probably would have been over, but alright, moving on, because that's not what we're here to talk about. RJ2. Now, when I was talking about the Jets, if that part flew over your head, okay, yes, I'm a USC fan for college football. It's good to see my man Ronald Jones Jr., who looked like a bust in his first 2 seasons in the league, looking good now. In his last 3 games, look at this. This is very impressive, and I hope he keeps it up. Now on to the Houston Texans, because I want to talk about Bill O'Brien. Even though he's already been fired, that was long overdue. When the DeAndre Hopkins trade happened, that's when he should have been fired on the spot. In fact, you could even say he should have been fired before that, before he created an even bigger mess. Now, Brett Coleman already did a 24-minute video on this, and Brett Coleman, yeah, I'm in the struggle with you as a Giants fan. So, the DeAndre Hopkins trade, here's what I said about it as soon as it happened, and here we are now. If you want to argue that they traded DeAndre Hopkins to save money, well, guess what? Look at this payroll. They're overpaying guys that are not nearly as good as DeAndre Hopkins. Bill O'Brien, what is wrong with you, dude? And also, just 2 seasons ago, the Texans' run defense was actually the 3rd best in the league. Now, it's dead last. I'll even confidently say that if my Giants were to play the Texans this year, while my Giants are averaging a whopping 87 rushing yards per game this year, their running game would still look elite against the Texans because their run defense is that bad. And the problem is Bill O'Brien not wanting to pay his star players, and I don't want to hear the small market thing, because you got to pay your guys if you want to have success, regardless of if you're a big market or a small market. And Jadeveon Clowney, he's in Tennessee. Kareem Jackson's in Denver. DJ Reader's in Cincinnati. Those were their best run stoppers. And now they're all gone because Bill O'Brien won't pay them, yet he's overpaying guys that won't produce up to their value. But yeah, I'm not going to go on much longer about the Texans. If you want to watch Brett Coleman's video on that, feel free. I'll leave a link in the description. That's kind of old, but he's right about that. And Brett Coleman is someone that I have a lot of respect for, because he really knows football. He's kind of like the b-ball breakdown of NFL YouTube, in my opinion. Unless you know someone who's better, please let me know. But anyways, before I get into the 3 undefeated teams, I'll talk about my second team, the LA Rams, for a bit. And this is when I went to their training camp 4 years ago, their first year back in LA, because I was living in Southern California at the time. And right now they're 4-2, and it's really their defense that's gotten them to 4-2. Aaron Donald is still a beast. Just his presence alone makes a huge difference. And already 7.5 sacks on the season. Tough loss to the Niners. Their offense, though, is not all that. Their running game is 10th in rushing yards, even without Todd Gurley, though, but overall their offense is pretty meh. Against the Chicago Bears, though, we should expect a low-scoring game, because it's really not Nick Foles that got them to be 5-1 right now. It's their defense that has them 5-1 right now. Now we're on to the 3 undefeated teams left right now. I'll start with the Seattle Seahawks. And Brett Coleman, once again, I'll shout him out. He did a nice video on letting Russell cook. And not Russell Westbrook. Oh my God. Russell Wilson is absolutely balling right now. And they just got Antonio Brown, so hopefully for their sakes, Antonio Brown will be able to behave himself and not act like a child, because he's way too talented to be out of the NFL right now, but it's just his antics that have kept him out of the league. Defensively, though, the Seahawks are not so good. They're dead last in total yards given up, and In points, they're below average. They're 18th in most points given up. But their offense is absolutely balling out right now. Their running game is not so great right now. It's below average. But passing wise, with Russell Wilson cooking, yeah, they're balling out right now. Now on to the Pittsburgh Steelers, who my team had the misfortune of facing in week 1. And even before Saquon tearing his ACL, the Steelers just pretty much shut him down. And last year, what kept them a 500 team, even after the breakup of their big three and Ben Roethlisberger being hurt, was their elite defense. Now, again, as a USC fan, the harsh reality I had to face was the fact that Juju Smith-Schuster is really a number 2 option on a good team. And you know what, though? What's kind of weird, though, is that Chase Claypool is their leading receiver right now, yet he's only started 1 game. Also, James Conner, while he was hurt last year, he's back now and on pace for over 1,000 yards. The AFC North, outside of the Bengals, is really competitive 6 weeks into the season. Now lastly, the Tennessee Titans, who were 9-7 last year. And man, Derrick Henry, he is a bad man. And again, some USC love. I wish that Dory Jackson could get back on the field as soon as possible. Their defense is not so good this year, but their offense is absolutely killing it, particularly in the run game because of Derrick Henry. Alright, so that's it for my NFL video right now. And if you like baseball, let's go Dodgers. Tough loss in game 2, but hopefully the Dodgers will be able to take a 2-1 lead in game 3. We'll see how it goes. That was quite a slugfest in game 1. Game 2 almost made a comeback, but it wasn't quite enough. It was a little too late. A little too late. But anyways, please remember to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for future videos, and I'll see you next time.